Sammy Lee was a professional diver from Fresno, California, born and raised that competed in the Olympics in 1948 and 1952, which he won a gold medal and was the first and oldest from Asian descent to do so. Lee had a big impact on America when he conquered his accomplishments by winning a gold medal. Coming from Asian descent, Lee had a hard time growing up in a predominantly white community. As a kid, Sammy Lee faced many obstacles. It began with a somersault when one evening Sammy told his father that one day he would become Olympic champion. He wanted to run for student body president for Franklin High School in which he attended, but was not able to because the president of the school did not allow it to happen. But Lee insisted. He told the president that many of his classmates did not see him in a way that involved discrimination. He said his classmates treated him as a fellow American. Lee was affected in many ways, and the discrimination came along. He was competing at the high school level, but was held back from many opportunities. World War II had a big impact not only on Sammy's life, but also in other Asians that lived in America. Sammy was discriminated just because he was Asian, and the war had laid a bad image on many of the Asians. Lee's parents, not able to speak a lick of English, were immigrants who had fully supported his dreams as Sammy was growing up. Sammy trained for the Olympics when he had the opportunity to do so. This is when he met his coach Jim that gave him and his training partner his backyard as their training ground. All they had was a sand pit and a diving board to train on. When Sammy had the chance to swim in a pool, it was only when the pool had a quote, non-white day. This was not just directing it at Sammy and his training partner. It was the entire colored community. The janitors of the pool had to drain it before the white people used it again. Something that was important to Lee was education. That was a priority growing up in America. He was a good student academically and maintained all good grades. Something that people do not understand is that you cannot judge someone based on how they look. Lee had to make relationships to accomplish what he did.
This is Helsinki, Finland, modern capital of an ancient people, and 1952 host to the greatest of all athletic competitions, the Olympic Games.
Water sports come to an exciting end in the diving finals. Pat McCormick of the United States sweeps the board in the women's competition, taking both the platform and springboard events. The men's high dive finds the great Sammy Lee, U.S. Army Major, defending his title won in 1948. The little doctor from San Fresno is in superb form, but he gets stiff competition from Joaquin Capilla of Mexico. Coming down to the wire now, it's a toss-up between Lee and Capilla until Sammy lets loose with his most brilliant effort, a running forward 3.5 somersault. The judges' scorecards go up, registering the highest total awarded to any single dive in the competition. And Sammy Lee, whose parents were born in Korea, becomes the first two-time winner in Olympic diving history. Sammy gets a kiss from fellow American Pat McCormick. Then joins his wife, who had confidently set sail for Helsinki even before Sammy had technically qualified in the American Olympic trials. Sammy Lee of Los Angeles, Occidental College, and the U.S. Army Medical Corps is more than a medal winner for the United States. He is a living testament before the peoples of the world to equality.
Sammy took advantage of the education and became a doctor. He also coached for the Olympics. Part of Lee's success was because of his coach Jim. Sammy went through many frustration levels, not because Jim hated him, but it was because Jim promised to make him one of the best divers. Jim was hard on Lee because Jim had lost the last time he was coaching in the Olympics, and wanted to get revenge, in which he accomplished what he had promised. The reason being is that in his coaching history in the Olympics with previous divers he coached, he had conflict due to being told he did not win fairly. Sammy's relationship with his coach grew, but discrimination had not diminished in America. Till this day, many athletes face their problems just the way Sammy handled his problems, by performing. Sammy came from having no training facilities to meeting people like Jim that wanted to give chances to others that were considered different because of their skin color. It did not matter how long Sammy lived in the U.S. He was still compared as being different than the average white athlete. Sammy made history for his ancestors and for many immigrants that were in the U.S. at the time. He opened opportunities for people as he managed to go through the discrimination that was occurring in the States growing up as an athlete. Sammy Lee is an example of what colored athletes go through. Many want the opportunity to live the American dream. Sammy was the face of America that changed the history in sports. He maintained a humble attitude and did what he promised to do. His accomplishments opened the door for many athletes now. He was one of the best divers in America and was respected because he represented the country well. Coming from having no training facilities to becoming a champion when it came to performing. What he went through was the cause of his accomplishments and the way people see others in sports they're involved in. Sammy had tried to break discrimination when he was a kid. He had the courage to try and do things that were nearly impossible, but that didn't keep him from conquering what he did. And due to his efforts, he will now be remembered as a star athlete in the Hall of Fame.